guys, it's Robbie. Welcome to Shoreline at Home. I don't know about you, but after doing this distancing thing for several weeks now, my family, we're starting to get a little bit into a stride. It's not great all the time, nothing like that. I don't know what they're doing back there right now, but we're not in the worried about toilet paper stage anymore. We're more in the let's make a family TikTok stage. Are you with me? Are we progressing? Yeah. What's been helping us stay connected is just following Shoreline on our website. You can go to shorelinechurch.net/online. There's resources for me, for you, for our kids. Plus we have our worship playlists there. You can also download our Shoreline Church app. There's some quick links to get plugged in with Shoreline and learn how you can get plugged in. Plus, we have a daily Bible reading plan, and you guys can read what Pastor Eric is reading each day. But the easiest way probably to stay updated and connected is by following Shoreline Church on social media. We have a Facebook and Instagram page. Our kids are in Tribe has online resources as well on YouTube. And so follow us on social media. Our team has been creating fun, new content almost daily. So like and share if it's keeping you encouraged during the season. Before we get into worship, I wanted to remind you that we have a prayer team that loves praying for you. Our staff loves praying for you each and every week. All you need to do is text prayer to 972-2575, or you can actually write prayer right there in the live chat. There is a real person on the other side of your message, whether you text or write it in a live chat, that is ready to get you guys connected and finish your prayer requests. Okay, so Jesus said, when 2 or 3 are gathered, he is there. And I hope as we prepare to worship together, you guys know that you do not have to do this alone. Enjoy service. I'll be back in a minute.
Let the King of my heart be the mountain where I run, the fountain I drink from. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the shadow where I hide, the ransom for my life. Oh, he is my song. 'Cause you are good, you're good. Oh, 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 let the King of my heart be the wind inside my sails, the anchor in the waves. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the fire inside my veins, the echo of my days. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the wind inside my sails, the anchor in the waves. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the fire inside my veins, the echo of my days. Oh, he is my song. You are good, you're good. Oh, you are good, you're good. Oh, you are good, you're good. Oh, you are good, you're good. Oh,
you're never gonna let me down. 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 Oh, you know you're
gonna let me down. You're never gonna let, you're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let, you're never gonna let me down.
Yeah, Jesus, yeah. Woo. There was a moment when the lights went out, when death claimed its victory. The King of Love had given up his life, the darkest day in history. There on a cross made for sinners, for every curse his blood atoned. One final breath and it was finished, but not the end we could have known. For the earth began to shake and the veil was torn, when sacrifice was made as the heavens roar. Oh, hail King Jesus. Oh, hail the Lord.
an important part of our worship, and it's quick, easy, and secure to do it right here online. Just look on the screen, you'll see all the ways that you can give. And as you're preparing your giving, I want to stop and take a moment to celebrate you, Shoreline. Because of your giving, we've been able to still carry out our vision to revive hearts, restore hope, revitalize culture, and bring Jesus and his church to the front and center of everyday life. And this past week, as a church, because we believe as a church, we're called to dig deep, support, and cultivate relationship in our local culture, we invited all our charter boat captains and crew to come out to Mellow Mushroom and enjoy a meal on us. And we were able to do that because of you. And we want to keep up that spirit of irrational generosity by inviting our restaurant and bar service workers to come out to La Paz in Destin tomorrow night on April 20th to enjoy a carry-out meal on us. Thank you guys so much. Shoreline, thank you for being so generous during this season. Because of you, we are able to invest in the lives of others and to let our local industry know that we care and we're here for them. All right, so remember when 2020 was going to be the year of vision, the year of clarity and all of that? Are you ready to throw that out the window? Wait, before you do, don't do that yet. Wait until after this message from Pastor Graham. He's been preparing all week, and he wants to challenge our worldview and how we can even expand our worldview. And it actually might bring us a little bit more clarity along the way. So let's get ready to lean in and see what he has to say.
Before we go on, I just want to say, man, I miss you guys. I miss y'all so much.
I know.
I promised myself I wasn't going to cry, but I miss y'all. And I know I've got to visit. We did some golf cart visitation. We visited some people in the front yards this week, and it's so good to see people. But there's a lot of y'all. I'm seeing you comment on here. I really miss you guys.
Yeah.
I love you. I can't wait till we can get back together.
Yeah, I totally agree. We like evaluating what we talked about last week, but kind of the new normal and the way things are going, even if let's just say they say, hey, everything's open next week. That's not going to happen. But even if they said that, we've realized nothing's ever going to be the same again. You know, enough has been shaken up that it's like we're going to have a new perspective on things. And church-wise, you know, it's not a restriction. It's kind of an opportunity now to approach this digital world in a different way. And businesses, corporations are all seeing things differently, which is a great thing. But we thought, there's a topic that is maybe pretty apropos for this time, this day and age that we're going to look at. So the point of all this, right, the reason that we're here this morning together is not just hey, good to see you later. It's that we actually change things in our life. We evaluate things that we haven't evaluated before. And so hopefully this is going to challenge a mindset that you have and will lead to us doing things a little bit differently. So here's a lead-in question to today's topic. The question is, have you ever met somebody in your life that sees things totally differently than you do? Right? The things that you think are funny, they don't think are funny. The movies you like, they don't like. Like the way that you think is just not the way that they think. Have you ever met anyone like that?
Absolutely. The whole world, actually.
Yeah.
I think. So,
maybe it's better. Have you ever met anybody like you?
not really. No. I mean, I think I've been misunderstood a lot.
Yeah.
I remember really early on when I was a kid, Garner's Beach. It's over in Fort Walton on Beachview. In fact, it's pretty popular right now because all the beaches are closed, so everybody's going there. But it used to have it used to have a dock out front, and you could jump off the dock, but they had a playground. And I remember I went there when I was a kid, maybe 6 years old or something, and the whole family, we went, and they had a slide that you go up go up to the top, and then when you slid down, there was a tunnel. So my family were all picnicking and stuff like that. So I slid down, but I stopped in the tunnel, and I just stayed there. And there was no other kids coming down the slides. And so pretty soon I could hear my parents looking for me. Eric, look, going through the park. Look, Eric. I could hear other people trying to call my name, and I was like, not yet. Wait for it. And then the police came, and they were out looking for me. Everyone's looking through the whole neighborhood for me. Wait for it, Eric, wait for it. And then right when like my mom walked right by the slide, I slid down and went, surprise! And I thought it was the funniest thing in the world, but they did not think it was funny.
To be honest, that's on them, because that is funny.
But my whole life has been like that. In fact, I feel like Darlene sits in the middle of between all of these people in the world that misunderstand me and don't get me and are maybe offended by me. And then there's me, and she sees like my jokes or my quotes and understands them, but other people don't. And she's kind of in the middle going, no, if you really knew him, no, he didn't mean to offend you.
He's compassionate, I swear.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of times in my life like that.
So our honeymoon, we went to Costa Rica, and we were on the beach, and it was a huge surf day. So these waves were enormous, and we're both sitting out there looking at these huge waves, big enough that like there were some surfers not going out. And this one guy paddles out, massive wave. He tries to drop in and just gets annihilated, right? I'm pretty sure he just exploded. And we're watching this, and after about 30 seconds, we both speak up at the same time, and she goes, well, that was stupid. At the same time, I go, I think I'm going to go for it. I was like, yeah, I'm reading between the lines here. But, you meet somebody and talk to somebody, or like you interact with somebody online, and you're just like, are we the same species? Like, we're just so different. And the reason is because we have experiences and relationships and victories and letdowns and all of that kind of mold our mindset, that affect the way that we see the world, right? I mean, think about how many mentors you have, people that you've looked up to, influential people that you've kind of adopted the way that they see the world because they've inspired you. And there's a quote from this French author, her name is Anai Nin, and she says, we don't see things as they are, we see them as we are, right? We have this lens that we view the world through, and it's based on our experiences.
Oh my gosh, yeah. When I was in college, we were having a party at our apartment. There was, I don't know, maybe a dozen people there, 15 people, but music, the whole thing going on. But somebody brought over, because I needed money for college, but I got $2,000 in cash, in an envelope. Someone gave it to me, and it was right during this party, and I was like, well, I need to hide this, right? So I hid it, and I had a normal hiding spot, and I was like, no, because other people might know where that is, so I'm going to hide it somewhere different this time. So I hid it, but it was a party. So the next morning, because it was a party, I went to look in my normal hiding spot. It wasn't there, and so I thought my roommate had ripped me off, or somebody had ripped me off. And so all through the day, everything that he would say, I would hear it and I would see it through the lenses of, I think this guy stole my $2,000. And so then anytime he'd say something, I'd go, oh, what did he mean by that? Is he the one who took the money? Yeah. And I'm like, I'm for sure looking through these lenses that he stole the money. And then later on during the day, I don't know, I was getting a pair of socks, I opened it up, and there's the envelope with $2,000. I was like, oh. So we all have a narrative that is crafted by your experiences, whether it be a narrative about a party or a race or a group of people or ethnicity, any kind of different demographic, just the way you see things, it's based on that. Those lenses are shaped by your experiences.
Yeah, and that can be generations deep, right? Like you talk to people who have prejudice, and very, very seldom will that person say, my prejudice is incorrect and malicious. Like, they believe that it's right, and it's because of either limited experience that they have or a narrative that's been crafted by family or something. And so people get kind of lodged into that, and that's exactly what we're talking about, is this idea of expanding that. Ignorance is when you have a limited sample size, a limited worldview. How do we expand that? And we believe that it's true that the more we see the world, the better we see the world, right? Just in general. The more you increase your sample size, the better. The better perspective you're going to have on life. You can read as many books as you want on Haiti, but until you go over and experience the culture and experience that, you have limited perspective on that. The problem is that we as humans, in an effort to control, in an effort to, to be in charge, we tend to stay in our box. We like to create this bubble for ourselves, and we become very habituated in the way that we see the world, because that's comfortable. Me personally, I'm a logic guy, and I don't like it when somebody challenges my worldview.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, because it almost feels like forfeiting to me. I feel like I'm smart, and if I now take what you're saying, that means that I didn't have it figured out, and I like to have things all figured out.
Yeah, because when we get stuck in our ways, when we have a closed mindset, when we have a worldview that we're so entrenched into it that nobody can question our worldview, it becomes a very dangerous place, because we're not able to grow because we're never able to learn.
Yeah,
because you can't grow if you don't learn. And so if we're so entrenched in our ways that we don't learn from it, we'll never grow as a purpose person. And maybe you're watching here today, and there's some kind of a topic that you're stuck in. In other words, you refuse to see it any other way. Maybe it's how you spend your time. Maybe it's how you spend your money. Maybe it's how you do your marriage or do your parenting. When we get older, we actually emulate what was modeled for us. Mm-hmm. And maybe your parenting or your marriage isn't doing well because you're repeating what was modeled for you. But what was modeled for you wasn't healthy, but you don't know how to change. That's your view.
Or not even just not doing well, but not all it could be.
Yes, right? Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Because we get entrenched in this, and then we refuse to make any changes, and we're not open to anything else. And so really, maybe today, God will show you an area that we're going to be talking about. Maybe God will speak to you. Maybe you'll just feel something of, maybe this is an area in your life where you should be open to a better way. Maybe there's an area in your life that you say, yeah, I haven't been entrenched in that, and I'm not open to anybody else's opinion or view on this. If you could, while we're doing this today, maybe just let us know. I'm going to be following along right here on Facebook Live, so you can jot it down. We've got Pastor Robbie, who is our online campus pastor. She's also there. So maybe just kind of let us know what that is.
Yeah, especially in this online world, the idea of expanding our worldview, or here's a good one, how do we invite challenge in kind of this new world that we live in? Because right now, here's what we're reduced to. Here are interactions. One, we can have interaction with family, which is pretty predictable. We know them, they know us. We can just totally isolate. That's an option. Or the third is like an online presence, is starting to converse with people in the online world. Here's the problem, is that creatures of habit and creatures of comfort that we all are, what we tend to do is we are able to control the input in our online world, right? Yeah. We want to reduce friction as much as possible to make it comfortable for us. So wherever you are, if somebody says, I love Trump, then you go unfollow. Or somebody else says, I hate Trump, you go unfollow. Or they have a view on COVID, unfollow. Or they have a view on vaccines, unfollow. And we reduce all these things down into people that are aligned with us. Ultimately, this is tough to say, but it's because we have innate narcissism that thinks our way of doing things, our way of viewing the world is the right way. And so we actually think it's the right move to boil it down to people that think the way we do, because we want to align ourselves with people that think right, and obviously the way that we think is the right way. And so this is, how do we expand that instead of narrowing it down?
Yeah, and you control the view a lot more than you think. You do it unconsciously, because even on social media, the more you like a certain genre, a certain, whether it's liberal, conservative, whatever it is, then that's what Facebook or that social media starts to show you more of. So even without controlling it, you're controlling what you see. And then it just affirms all the people. When you do that, all you're doing is affirming what you already believe instead of being challenged.
Right. And now when we talk challenge, maybe there's some people out there that go, oh, you want challenge? You should see my Facebook feed as a freaking battleground, right?
Yeah.
There's a difference between challenge and learning and loving people and being divisive.
Yeah.
Some people have this martyrdom mindset that's like, oh, dude, I've had 500 people give me death threats today, yay, and say that they, hate the church. And it's like, I think maybe you're just being divisive instead of this idea of like actually learning about people and loving people. So we've got to ask, for us, what if we are holding on to a view that is holding us back? Like we said earlier, maybe things in your life aren't a train wreck, but it's tough to actually quantify the gap between good and free, or good and great, right?
Yeah, good in God.
And good in God. Maybe there's something that God's calling you to, that we're just stuck in this old method or pattern or way of doing things, that he's calling us to something new. So we're going to look at a guy today who's essentially famous for having his mold broken. Wow. He viewed the world a certain way, as very black or white, right or wrong. He had his confines, and when his world was shattered, that's what made him famous. His name is Paul. So maybe you've heard the Apostle Paul before. And Paul, his name wasn't always Paul. His name at one point was Saul, and then had to change from Saul to Paul.
Which is the worst example of witness relocation ever. Hey, we know they're trying to kill you, so we've changed your name from Saul to Paul, and we're moving you over here.
Hey, can I get another free sample? No, dude, you were just in here.
No,
Isn't
that
your name
was Saul. My name is Paul.
Totally different. I'm Paul. Okay, context on Paul. And chime in if you hear me screw something up. But Saul was like the ultimate Pharisee. So the Pharisee were like the religious professionals of the time. And so the Bible at that time was the Torah. It was the first 5 books of the Bible: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. And the Pharisees pretty much had that memorized. He knew more of the Torah than anybody. He carried out the law better than anybody. So like religious professional. And then comes this new movement, which we call Christianity. It was known as the Way. And so people are following Jesus, view Jesus as the Messiah, the Savior of the world. And Saul is like, doesn't believe it. He's like, no way. So he views his whole job is to stomp out this new movement, is to just like eradicate this delusional way, or delusional Christianity, because these guys are giving their lives and their money to something that's a scam. And so he thinks he's doing the Lord's work.
And you couldn't convince him otherwise.
No, they are wrong, I am right, type of thing. So that's kind of where we pick up the story. Did I miss anything on context?
I think you're pretty good.
I don't want to be pretty good. I want to be excellent.
You're fine.
I don't want to be good. I want to be God. Okay. I don't want to be God.
No.
Just for the record. Okay. Things end badly. Verse 9. Meanwhile, Saul was uttering threats with every breath and was eager to kill the Lord's followers. So he went to the high priest. He requested letters addressed to the synagogues in Damascus, asking for their cooperation in the arrest of any followers of the Way he found there. He wanted to bring them, both men and women, back to Jerusalem in chains.
And they took him seriously.
Yeah.
Because just a couple chapters before this is when we first run into Paul, is Stephen is the first disciple, or really the first martyrdom besides Jesus that we see in the Bible. And the religious leaders were so infuriated that they stoned Stephen. And at the last passage of that chapter, chapter 7, it says, and they laid their coats at the feet of Saul. And then very next verse in chapter 8, it says, and Saul approved of his killing. And so I used to think that Saul was maybe in training there, and they were just like, here, we do it, then you watch, then we all do it together. Like he's holding the coach. Now watch us stone him. This is how you do it. But really what it was he was a leader, and he incited these religious leaders, now go take care of it. So when it says that he breathed murderous threats, these guys were taking that serious. They were afraid.
It's not a crazy guy just muttering to himself.
No, it'd be like Dog the Bounty Hunter showing up at your house.
That couldn't be more biblical.
Well, maybe not the best example, but I'll think of something.
We'll get there. Verse 3, as he was approaching Damascus on this mission, a light from heaven suddenly shone down around him. He fell to the ground and heard a voice saying to him, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? I wanted to stop because that very simple but very profound question of why is maybe one that we don't ask all the time. And we were talking about getting stuck in our ways or stuck in our mindsets or whatever. And so often we just give months, if not years of our life to doing things a certain way without asking that question why.
Yeah.
It's because we're creatures of habit, because
Yeah.
we've habitualized everything, and we do it because it's something that we've always known, but seldom do we ask that. Right?
Yeah,
Like,
and it'll change because you can have let's say money or even losing weight, getting in shape. We all know, okay, that I know I should do this with my money. I know I should eat this way. I know that I should, exercise and stuff. But until I understand the why, I will not do it. But when I get the why, man, it changes everything.
yeah, so good. We say all the time, like, the heart is not our jurisdiction.
Yeah.
So you can't convict somebody else.
Yeah.
I can't give you a conviction, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I say, like, listen to how God is convicting you, because you're not going to change something based on my conviction. You
Yeah.
have to listen to how God is changing you. So exactly, same thing. What is the why? Verse 5, who are you, Lord? Saul asked, and the voice replied, I am Jesus, the one you are persecuting, which had to have been kind of a terrifying. He looks back at his last year and he's like, I've made some bad decisions. Now get up and go into the city and you will be told what you must do.
I mean, can you imagine sitting there? Paul's probably thinking, because he was on his way to Damascus to arrest people of the way, arrest Christians. And all of a sudden, everything has changed, and he probably was like, wait a minute, I thought this was about my view.
Right.
I thought that I was helping you. I thought I was doing what you wanted me to do. But see, your worldview is determined by how you see, and then how you see determines what you do. So the way you see the world determines everything that you do in the world. And how Saul saw shaped everything he did.
Yeah.
And now he's seeing differently.
Yeah, which is the same for us. Right?
Yeah, it is.
Everything that we do is based on the way that we see the world. And so whether it's unexamined or examined, whether it's malicious or benevolent, whatever it's ingrained in you, we act according to the way that we see the world. And that's what we're inviting today. We want to expand. We don't want to stay stuck in what we are. That is us individually. Pastor Eric, that's the church. We as the church, we don't want to be the church that says we're stuck in the way that things have always been. And nope, we've done that for 50 years and we'll just find a way to shoehorn that in there. That's not our desire. We want to morph with, and so we want to always be expanding how we see God, the way that we see what is possible, to see, is God using a new method inside of these times? So we wrote, how we see God determines what we think is possible. The more in a box or petite you have of a view of God, the less you will think is possible. The more you see COVID-19 and the restrictions that we have right now as a burden, as depressing, but if we have the right view of God, this infinite, star-breathing, universe-creating God that is not held back by anything, we just realize that methods may change, but miracles continue to happen. Breakthrough and life change continues to happen. It will just look differently than it has.
Yeah.
Right? I was thinking about the different views of things that we have. Money, maybe you're stuck in your view of money. Parenting, based on how your parents parented you, you probably have a pretty ingrained thought on what's the right way to parent, and we need to shake that up. Success, but a big one is actually who we think God is. I am a logic guy, I said it earlier, and this is a loose translation of the word, but honestly, pridefully, I view myself as an intellect, which is ridiculous.
I've never viewed you as an intellect.
Yeah,
I know
because of
you're
how many
intellectual.
fart jokes I tell.
Well, it's because I view you as the funniest person I know personally.
Yeah, just like in an intellectual way.
That's just because I've never met Will Ferrell.
Yeah, no, I can be funny. Please tell me I'm smart. But I've always been like, I want to logic God out. I want to have a handle on the situation. Yes, I can read the Bible. I know he's big. I know he's powerful, but I kind of understand what he's doing in a prideful way. And then I met my wife, Kristen, and her relationship with God is primarily based on the supernatural, inexplicable side of God, the mysterious side of God. And I realized, oh my gosh, I have fractioned down what God is into this sliver of the pie.
Wow.
And so what I think is possible is the logical. How am I ever going to be seeking miracles if I've narrowed God down to the logical, or, in my experience, what I think is possible? And so maybe for you, whatever that area is, the breakthrough is by willing to expand the pie chart and say, maybe there is more than what I've experienced or what I've known to be true.
So good.
Back to Saul. This is in an instant, right? His world's rocked. Verse 7, the men with Saul stood speechless, for they heard the sound of someone's voice, but saw no one. Saul picked himself up off the ground, but when he opened his eyes, he was blind. So his companions led him by the hand to Damascus. He remained there blind for 3 days and did not eat or drink.
Now, why do you think, quick question, Graham, why do you think God blinded or took his sight? You remember before Jesus was born, John the Baptist was born, I guess, 6 months, maybe 3 months before Jesus was. And his father, Zechariah, was a priest. And he went into the temple because it was his day to do his duty. And while he was in the temple, an angel came to him and said, your wife, Elizabeth, is going to have a child. And you're going to name him.
I'm an intellectual.
And you're going to name John, John. And he said, how's this going to be? And because he spoke doubt, remember the angel took away his voice, he couldn't speak.
Yeah.
And why did he do that? Because he didn't want him to speak unbelief.
Right.
And I think it was kind of very similar with
Wow.
Saul,
Yeah,
but not
good.
with his speech, because this is how he viewed his world, like this. Everything in his world was viewed this way, and you couldn't change his mind. And then now he's blinded, okay? And it wasn't just because it was a bright light, but I think it was to reset how he saw, because now he's going to get a new picture of the way he sees
good,
the world,
dude. Yeah.
okay? Because previously he didn't believe in this Jesus. Now he's speaking to him, right? And when you can't see and you don't eat or drink for 3 days, you have a lot of stuff to think about.
Yeah.
And I'm betting in that time, Saul reevaluated a lot of things. Because when you go to the Old Testament, when we go to the Old Testament, we read the stories in the Old Testament on this side of the resurrection. We read them with Jesus is the Savior or Messiah lenses on, right? This is what happens with Saul. So he has this worldview, he has this view on the way he sees Jesus and the movement and the way and all of that. Suddenly, now he realizes Jesus is real because he's talking to him. Now in this 3 days, he probably starts looking back to those 5 books of the Old Testament, the Torah and all the things they learned, and now he starts looking through them in Jesus lenses and going,
those were talking about him.
Yes. So now his view changes. It was something dramatic that happened in Saul's life that shifted the way he sees.
So good.
And sometimes we need that. Sometimes we need that in our life, because we've been talking about the concept of waiting on God, right? And how many times has God used inactivity in our life to expose something in the way we see things, right? That to expose and what our view is. Because if this guy would have grumbled and complained for 3 days, we would never know him. If he'd have sat in that where he was for 3 days and just grumbled about God and all this, we would never know who he was, because he'd not be written in his history.
Yeah.
And maybe for you right now watching, maybe when there's something in your life that you have not invited God in to shake things up, to give you, what did you call that? The Saul to Paul?
Saul to Paul shake up.
Maybe you need that's a Twitter, you could tweet that.
Tweet
the
that.
Saul to Paul shake up. What area in your life do you need a Saul to Paul shake up?
Yeah, you're right. We have an option right now in this waiting period of being quarantined, and we can grumble and we can say this sucks and I wish we could blah blah blah, or we can take this opportunity to evaluate the viewpoints that we've had forever and say maybe there's some things that I'm stuck in that when we get re-released or when we get vision back or whatever, we have this new perspective or focus on life. That's our challenge today. Our challenge today is to invite an interruption, to invite God to interrupt the way that we see the world. And here's our question. The question is, if we're going to invite an interruption on a view, what view are you most afraid for God to interrupt?
Oh, that's good.
Man, you talk about online engagement. That's a courageous one.
Yeah.
If you post that on the feed, good for you.
And I'm not able to do comments. Everybody shifted over to YouTube because something's wrong with the Facebook. So I was going to do comments back and forth, take your comments, but I can't do that.
Yeah.
That's an online interruption right now. Go ahead, and I just interrupted you too, didn't I?
No, that was intellectual. I thought of a couple different views, right? Money.
Yep.
And actually, primarily the view that you're probably afraid for God to interrupt is what you are anchoring your life to. In times of chaos, what is your consistent? What do you need to be unchanging? So if it's money, then, no matter what else is going on, your biggest fear is not seeing that number in your checking account.
Because right now, a lot of people have their mind on the money and the money on their mind.
Oh, come on.
Because, we're being stretched right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
God, we talked about that. Success. What it looks to serve.
Yeah.
We're not able to serve the way that we did.
But there's ways to serve, but it's completely different.
And it's completely different.
Yeah.
So anyway, what is it for you? When I say, that you think that you're right in, that you're unwilling to change, there's a chance that is actually the area that is keeping you from breakthrough. And on the other side of that breakthrough, we talked about is a God that wants to expand your pie chart, that wants to show you how complete of a God he is, that he is so much bigger than you thought was possible. But when we're just locked into our normalcy, when we are habituated or we've narrowed down what's possible, we're only really experiencing a sliver of the fulfilling life that God has for us.
Yeah, that's so good.
Okay. So just like Saul, he had this breakthrough, right? His worldview is shifted, and I thought about last week for Easter how we talk about the resurrection of Jesus a lot. We say the power of the resurrection. We even talked about it last week, not tongue in cheek, really, the power of the resurrection. And then sometimes it's a little bit ethereal, but I thought this is a perfect way for us to begin to reevaluate what's possible. That Jesus is dying and raising from the dead. He didn't do that so we could have a fish bumper sticker on our car, right? He did it so that we can partner with him in bringing compassion and love and actual world change through not being narcissistic and depending on ourselves, but instead inviting more and more of kind of the mystery of God. So you said earlier, if we change what we do without changing our why, it's not going to stick.
It's not going to stick.
Right? It has to be deeper than that. And so our first step, even before we change what we do, has to be to evaluate our why or the areas that we're stuck in.
That's why, Andy Stanley says, and we've taken it from Andy Stanley, that if we can see how God sees, we'll be more inclined to do as God says, because it's all about understanding the why.
Yep.
You look at Saul's life. When he was Saul, everything he did was fueled by the why, because he believed he was on God's side, carrying out God's mission. Once he met Jesus, his whole why changed, and his life was just as passionate and just as radical, but now it had a new cause, because it was fueled by the why. And that's what we have to do, is understand the why. And like you said, if you're bringing up money, finances, God, success, all those things, those have been shaken up now. So what is the new why that you need to obtain to help fuel your motivation for moving in that direction?
Yeah, and if you don't know what you're stuck in, that's believable. I get that. I understand that. But the way that we sometimes find out what we're stuck in is just by having conversation. And when something hits you differently or you have an opposing viewpoint, then you dive into that. Why does that make me feel challenged? Why does that make me feel defensive? And so we have to start conversation, and that is our application for today. Here's what we want for you to do.
Veronica said it was her job. That was her. She said her job. And then I'm starting to get some stuff now. Sam said it was his family, and then a couple of people, both our wives, said it was routine. That's what they're being challenged with, is the routine.
Because they both hate being locked up at home with us.
Yeah, go to the office, go to the office.
We're really reevaluating marriage. Just in general.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the application. We want everybody who's watching to take this question that we're about to ask and write it out on your Facebook feed, or I don't know if you can do it via Instagram because it's text, so this might work better for Facebook. But here's a question. You're going to write, what is something you feel you have unique perspective on? We're putting it up there on the screen too. Write that down. What is something you feel you have unique perspective on? Now listen, this is not you answering this. If you want to answer it in the comment section here, awesome. We'd love to hear from you. You are trying to get answers from your sphere of influence.
So they're putting it out there. They can put it on their Facebook page or What is
Put that as your status.
What is the thing that you think you have unique perspective on?
Yep. And if you want to add other text, that's fine. But the desire is that the people that you know, all of your friends, you want them weighing in. And the more people that answer who are not like you, the better. Because our job is to start having conversations to find out what we get defensive about that maybe God wants to challenge inside of that. And even better, it's practice learning people who think, or learning from and loving people who think differently than we do.
Yeah.
So when you put it up there, put a hashtag Shoreline Church. That way it's easy for us to find, because we want to go on there and find the answer to people's questions. But this is starting to evaluate our why in the new season.
Oh, that's so good, Graham. So good.
How good?
So good. That is just like, it's better than good or fine. You did exceptionally intellectual.
Oh, that's exactly what I was going for.
You did exceptionally intellectualistly.
And I can tell you're really funny.
Yeah. So, anything else we got?
Nope.
How's that for an ending? Conclusion.
Man,
well,
we nailed that.
Yeah.
Well, that's my time. Feels like we should pray.
Yeah, let's pray.
Okay. I'll pray and then you fix everything.
Okay.
I'm just trying to evaluate right now, real time, what maybe I'm stuck in, God.
Yeah.
And because I don't know what's possible, I guess, in the digital world, I'm trying to continually get a handle on things, and I just realized more and more I need to be open-handed. And I've heard somebody say, wow before how, that we can just invite new ideas and say, how big is our God, before we're asking, how's that possible? How do we filter it down? So I want to be a wow guy right now, and to realize, God, that you are looking forward to this new season and the miracles that you're going to do in a way that you never have before. This is setting up potential for you to have impact on our city, on our community, and in our lives that we never have experienced before, but we have to be open to it. We can't be stuck in the mud. We can't be closed off. We need to invite this new method of you working. And so me personally, God, I'm saying I'm inviting that. I'm willing to have a Saul to Paul shake up. I'm willing to view things differently than I have. And would you speak clearly? When I hear the next conversation, or have the next conversation, and a view is challenged, that I'm not going to be defensive. I'm going to be open to that and realize that, man, maybe there's a different perspective that allows me to see you and humanity in a different light. And I invite that. So be here with us as we continue this journey. It's into the unknown, and it's it is not clearly defined, but in the mystery, God, you are there working miracles, and we trust that. In your name, amen.
Amen. Pastor Donnie says, Graham, that you have a lot of room for potential to be an intellectual.
Hey, my parents told me that.
And hey, just thanks for being with us today. Don't tune out yet, because when the cameras stop rolling, you should see what happens next. Anyhow, let me just give you a couple of reminders. I want to encourage you to continue to pray for your streets. We have those street signs available to you that says this street has been prayed for by the Church of Destin. We will have them out. You just contact us. We'll get them for you. And a lot of people are putting them out as they go walking and praying. So I want to encourage you to continue to pray for our city, pray for your city.
Yeah.
If you're in Destin, we have 4 roads that come into our city. And I'm encouraging people to go and pray, be the gatekeepers. If you live in Fort Walton, like B-Rad, one of our technicians over here, the cameraman, go pray at the gatekeepers, the gates of your city, the cities that come into your city limits.
Yeah.
And don't forget, tomorrow night, I'm sure that they're going to tell you more about this again. I know they've already talked about it, but we'll see you at La Paz, where we want to feed all the people who are out of work in the restaurant and bar business. So God bless you guys. We'll see you next week. Take it away,
Love
Pastor
you guys.
Robbie.
Guys, let's give it up for all of our teams. Let's give them a round of applause. Seriously, right now, they've been serving their hearts out, because they want you to know that you can be the church wherever you are. So before you guys leave, let's get you plugged into a Shoreline community. Church life isn't just on Sunday. And we want you guys to stay connected all throughout the week. So there's something for our sisterhood, which is for our women, Shoreline men, tribe for our students and Shoreline Kids for the young ones. And there's some online opportunities for us to get together in small groups. We can play games together. We can just be social and encourage one another all week long. Plus, we're looking for some fun and safe serve opportunities that we can do together because you guys love to serve our community. And so we want to find some opportunities for you guys to get plugged in with that. All you have to do is go on our app, or you can go to shorelinechurch.net/communities, and you'll see right there where all the different communities for your people is right there. And like I said, it's just our pleasure to just be on this journey with you. Church life isn't just on Sunday mornings. We're going to be looking forward to seeing all of you online all week. We love and miss you guys so much. See you next week.